Ravens are probably going to win. They have one of the best offenses in history right now.
Lamar Jackson is a more explosive.
I think Baltimore pulls it out.
Nothing to work with. Pile driven by the rookie. Goddard, tiptoes, touchdown, Philadelphia. Touchdown!
This is a big win for this team.
Yes, it is.
There we go. How about that? Sorry, I've got
There
a
you go.
little feedback in my. There we go. Okay, I was muted for a second. Or in the ear was feedback, but we're here.
There you
Thomas,
go.
how's it going? How you doing?
I'm great. We just had a pretty good afternoon of press conferences, if I do say so myself. I think everything is fine. The sky is not falling, and I'm excited to talk about it. And what a better medium than one with a live chat. That way, the fans of the shows can ask us questions and interact with what's been a very interesting week in Philadelphia, Josh.
Yeah, interesting to say the least. As Thomas alluded to as well, we appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit the like button as always. Subscribe. We are well on our way. Thomas is about to get to 70,000 subs. Make sure to do that. He's giving away the Cooper
Close.
DeJean helmet. So all you got to do is hit the sub button. You're taking part in that. I've got the it's great that it actually fits. I told you before, I can't get the other ones to work for it, but it's perfect. So I mean, it should work for a decent amount of people if they can get the chance to the Cooper DeJean, but a legit full-size helmet signed by the man himself. A little bit difficult to get off, but
A little hard. I'm surprised my headphones stayed on, but yes, very soon. Very soon. Very excited.
It works. I've got the Saquon Barkley signed helmet I'm giving away as well. And also, a little bit later in the stream, I'm going to be spinning for the ticket winners for the Steelers game. So for those that were trying to get to that game, it was in the last video. There's a link in the description. I'm not going to say it again. There's some people ask on this live stream. There's a link in the description. If you want to get in, you've got, I don't know, like 30 minutes or something, and then we'll spin for it. But
hurry.
Having said that, you're right. It's so nice that we can move on to the Steelers game because of A.J. Brown. And we had it last year where A.J., he's got to talk to the media, share what he means, everything. You even think back to 2022, and there was a little bit of like, maybe not, something going on there. And then, of course, A.J. comes out, and it's like, 155 yards, 3 touchdowns the next game. So, I mean, if there's a game to get the passing game right and to get A.J. Brown right and to continue to throw the football his way, it feels like it could be this Steelers game coming up.
Well, it feels like they're going to definitely emphasize it. I'd be shocked if A.J. Brown is not targeted 10-plus times, Josh. But they still have to stick to their offense, and we'll talk about that. Saquon Barkley is still the MVP. You can't just take carries away from the MVP to make sure A.J. Brown stays healthy. But this whole week was much to do about nothing, Josh. And let's just be very clear. Brandon Graham did not lie or make up something or not know what he was talking about in terms of A.J. and Jalen potentially not being friends. I refuse to believe that Brandon Graham was completely wrong and he just pulled it out of his hat and it's like, wait, you're completely wrong, BG. Why would you say that? There's probably something, okay? This all doesn't start if there's not a little bit of smoke around what is a tiny little fire. But this got blown up into, like, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown hate each other. They won't play together. They're never going to perform well together. The Eagles are doomed. That was never even close to being a situation. And I was shocked that Terrell Owens and Freddie Mitchell, of all people, who had just took a shot at Donovan McNabb on Twitter, were the voice of reason saying, T.O. was like, I hated Donovan McNabb at the end of our season, and I still had my best game in the Super Bowl. He still threw me the football. It was never going to be a serious issue. It was never going to blow up into anything more than it actually was. And even if they aren't BFFs anymore, they still are going to be performing at the highest level they possibly can on the football field. And this team is still great, even though they're not that prolific at passing at the moment, because we understand any given week they could switch it on and they can go crazy because they do have two all-world receivers, number one offensive line, and Jalen Hurts, as much as he's been drugged through the mud this entire week, Josh, is still a very good quarterback.
Yes. Thankfully, we can, like we say, you move on from it, but you have to just, for some reason, people will look at it and go, Jalen is not a good quarterback. And there's ways at times, yes, does it look like a little bit of a struggle? Does it look like there's some issues? Perhaps. But you still go to the point of like, look, this offense, we've seen moments, and you've seen more than enough to go, if he has the right play design, if he has things that are going to be taken for him, then he can absolutely take advantage. We look at, the RPO game, which is like sometimes they've used it and then sometimes they go away from it. You've got, to your point, a Saquon Barkley for your running back, NFL MVP. If you're going to throw the football, I don't know why you wouldn't do play action every single time, like RPO and or play action, because if you have that opportunity, the defense is already keying off of Saquon Barkley as it is, and you know that this Philadelphia team is going to run the football. So sure, you say, all right, well, let's just go ahead and change this up, and we might as well. So you just take advantage of it. But I don't know. To me, there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be critics. It feels like Jalen is one of those that's like just unjustified. He deserves some criticism, but just the overblown, it's constantly. And you add on top of that, when he does perform, it's kind of like, well, he's got A.J. Brown. Well, he's got Devonta Smith. Well, he's got Saquon Barkley. Well, he's got this offensive line. He's got these weapons, sure, but even to the same extent of Brock Purdy, whenever all of his weapons were healthy, not you say this year, but even when they were all healthy, it's not the same comparison. Everyone, Brock Purdy is this incredible quarterback. So I don't know. There's feels like a double standard. He has to deal with it, but we'll see.
Well, and everybody has a little bit of a mixture, of the blame. A.J. Brown deserves the blame for actually starting the fire in the first place. He shouldn't have talked to the media. A.J. would be the first person to tell you that. Understand. Jalen Hurts deserves some blame. He is missing A.J. Brown, especially in that Panther game. I think a lot less in the Panther game was kind of like really overblown, but the All-22 breakdown of the Panther film, because A.J. Brown did talk to the media, showed that Jalen wasn't perfect, probably his worst game of the season overall in passing, which they still won. And I think Kellen Moore also deserved a little bit of a blame just because they can't seem to figure out how to get this offense rolling early. Whatever it takes to get that offense schemed properly needs to be done. I'm not saying they're not trying to do that, but it's a combination of all three of these things, Josh. But my favorite tweet this entire week, I think, was from Bomani Jones, who said, everywhere Jalen Hurts has been, the passing has suffered there. And then all the replies were like, didn't A.J. Brown break Calvin Johnson's 6-game-in-a-row record with 125 receiving yards or more just this past year? And didn't Devonta Smith set like the catch record for a receiver in Eagle history just this last year or 2 years ago? It's such a tiresome narrative. And yet still, even if Jalen Hurts performs as a middle-of-the-pack quarterback the rest of the way, Josh, they're still probably the favorites in the NFC. They have the number one defense, the number one offensive line, the MVP at running back. They are still an elite football team that can win a ton of different ways, and have been doing it for the past 9 weeks.
Yes, they have. I was trying to find the tweet officially. Oops, there we go. There
it is.
There's the tweet.
I love uninformed tweets like this. They went crazy this week. This was the week for uninformed takes by people who don't know what they're talking about. This was the week.
Yeah, every single time it happens, though, because you see something like that and people want to just run with it, right? Because they just take it. The narrative would be, oh, well, it's just going to go ahead and ruin someone's career. They're not going to be able to put up those stats, but it's like, no, you know it's differently. I will play. Let's see. I think I can get this to work. There's one quick soundbite. I included a whole lot of them in the last video that I uploaded.
Check out Josh's has the most recent one. Yep.
But I was going to include just this one clip that I pulled from, shout out to Anthony DeBona. It's actually his birthday today. Happy birthday, Anthony.
Happy birthday, Anthony. 32.
Yeah, there you go. Reed Blankenship here.
That's right.
But this is just Jalen on, I don't know, just people saying like, oh, it's not pretty and everything else. So play this clip real quick.
It's about the team. Yeah, I don't care how it looks. It's kind of my game, and I think that's something that people have to accept, that it's going to look how Jalen Hurts wants it to look, but he's going to win.
Yeah,
that's it.
He's not really wrong, and it's so funny. It's like Jalen Hurts is not Peyton Manning. He's not Joe Burrow.
Nope.
He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Justin Herbert. He's Jalen Hurts. And the crazy thing is, he has a better winning percentage, at least of the active quarterbacks right now, than basically all of them. He's got a better overall win percentage than Lamar Jackson, than Josh Allen, definitely Justin Herbert, more so than Joe Burrow, he's won way more games, and he's done that everywhere he's gone. To Bomani Jones, who wants to say he can't throw, and he does throw the football very well. He said, we weren't even talking about this the past 8 weeks. I mean, we go back to the Bengal game, and you go back to the Giant game, and you go through all these different weeks of like the Raven game. He was fantastic in 2 of the 4 quarters, and they were throwing it all over the place, and then Saquon carried them to victory. All it takes, Josh, is one 300-yard performance, maybe this weekend against a great Steeler defense, and everybody has to shut up. That's all it takes. Everybody's done. We move on.
Hopefully.
Not a problem. But
yes,
we have to get to that point,
the outside haters will probably still be there, but maybe the Eagles fans who are not quite sure about where Jalen is with his team. But it's like, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because on the live stream last night we had this whole conversation with several members throwing this idea out there, and the question becomes, yeah, but this team can't win the Super Bowl the way that Jalen Hurts is throwing the football right now. And so I gave my thoughts last night, but before I can reiterate a little bit, I'm just curious, like, when you hear that, what did you immediately go back to?
My second favorite tweet this week was, last year there were people parked outside the NovaCare complex holding run the ball signs, and now all Philadelphia does is run the ball better than every team in the National Football League, and they probably will have the MVP running back for the first time in 2 decades almost, 2007, 2008, whenever Adrian Peterson did it, and now all we want them to do is pass the football, right? Like, what would you rather us do? I would go to the grave right now, Josh, convinced this football team is leagues better than 2022. It's leagues better. Now, it's not like 2022 was a garbage football team and this team is like the greatest ever. 2022 was great. It was a horrific defense. And when I say horrific defense, the secondary wasn't that good, okay? They got a lot of sacks. The linebacker play was above average for Philadelphia because we're used to way below average. I'm not trying to knock anybody on that Eagle defense because they were good. They had their moments, right? NFC title game, Purdy got knocked out, but still, they had their moments. This team's defense, way better than the 2022 defense. This team's offense, way better than the 2022 offense. And that was with probably a better throwing version, at least in the postseason or the Super Bowl of Jalen Hurts, but it's very similar. Smitty is better than he was in 2022. AJ is definitely better than he was in 2022. And you have Saquon Barkley. It's a better football team overall. And this idea that this passing offense can't win a Super Bowl, it's ridiculous. This offense overall has beaten some of the best teams in the National Football League. And because it's a week-to-week league, we just forget that we beat Baltimore 2 weeks ago, who most people have as an AFC title game favorite.
Yes, but for some reason, you just throw that right out the window. And, Desert Fox here says, without Saquon, they would be a 500 team. But it's like, it's a totally unfair
Mahomes,
comparison.
How many wins do the Chiefs have?
But
how many
you're
wins
right.
do the Chiefs have without Patrick Mahomes?
But it's twofold, right? Like it's the Patrick Mahomes argument, but it's also, you can't make that argument or that case even in a vacuum, because it's a total hypothetical. You say, without Saquon Barkley,
right.
Without Saquon Barkley, this offense is a passing offense. Now, look, maybe they're worse, but you can't even convince me and say, well, they would still insert a different running back. It won't be as good, for sure. The running game won't be as good.
Sure.
But if Jalen has the opportunity to throw the ball 30, 35 times, as he has said, as a lot of people have said, go look around the league, the more that the quarterback throws, you develop a rhythm. And so if Jalen Hurts is game after game, the passing game will be better. But right now it's been like, oh, hey, Jalen Hurts throws the ball, 20 times a game? I mean, heck, 20 times a game, he's getting 5 pass attempts a quarter. That's nothing. I mean, that is literally nothing. You look at some of the drives and you're like, run. Oh, now you're down the red zone. Throw the ball. What did he have? There were 2 or 3 possessions against Carolina where he had two passes. Now, one of those was a touchdown to Grant Calcaterra. The other one was a touchdown to Smitty. And those were good throws. Those were solid. You're scoring with them. But it's not the same sense of going to some other quarterbacks and you go, oh, they had a 10-play, 12-play drive, and you had 7 or 8 passes on those. So still, there's a lot to be said about rhythm and everything there.
Well, and if we want to criticize the Eagle offense, there's plenty to criticize. It's the first quarter. That is the actual criticism.
For sure.
That's everybody, right? It's not like Saquon is having his best quarter in the first quarter. It's not like Jalen is playing his best football. AJ, Devonta Smith, none of them. The first quarter has been the main issue, and that's what I think AJ Brown was trying to hit home tonight during his little press conference, which you obviously covered in your show. If you haven't watched that yet, check it out. I'll cover it in mine tomorrow. But he said, I was criticizing the passing game, the passing attack. The passing game is 5 offensive line, all pass blocking and cohesion. It's a quarterback reading the defense, throwing on time, making the right plays. And it's 3, 4, sometimes 5 receivers, including a running back out of the backfield, doing your job and making sure you run the right routes and you're open and you give it your effort and you actually catch the football into your hands. It's all those things combined. That has been the big problem with the Philadelphia Eagles. But again, they've been doing this all season long, being terrible in the first quarter. It hasn't mattered. Now, maybe it'll eventually come back to bite them. And guess what, Josh? They could easily lose on Sunday to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But if they lose Sunday to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the sky is still not falling. They have to lose multiple games in a row looking awful for me to actually believe the sky is falling like they did last year. And this team is so much better equipped. They're so much more mature. The defense is so much better than what it was last year that I don't see that actually happening over the final 4 games of the season.
Somehow the chat's become, what would we be if we had Patrick Mahomes as quarterback? That's not the case of what we're even making. No,
we don't have it. We don't have it.
Saying
Sorry.
that Jalen Hurts is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on. Like, that's not even a, what are we doing there? I will say, we've got the bet going on. I'm feeling,
I forgot about the
feeling
bet.
decent if we get this win against Pittsburgh. I mean, I'm just saying.
I'd feel pretty good if I was
Washington,
you.
You never know for sure. Division game, they're going to have a lot to play for. But I'm waiting for that $100. I'm just saying.
Hey, it's probably gonna. I hope I have to give it to you. I got money in my Venmo account. It's gonna send it right over. I hope that's the case. But
that's why I took it,
see.
because it's a bet that you cheer for me to win, although it's your money up for grabs.
It's fair. It's fair. Let's still talk about Pittsburgh though, Josh. We always preview stuff, on these live shows, getting ready for the weekend. The Pittsburgh Steelers are very good. And now George Pickens not being there, which, again, maybe the time you're watching this, he might have magically been cleared late on a Saturday night, maybe early on a Sunday morning. But as of right now, George Pickens is not going to play. That hamstring injury, think back to AJ's 3 weeks out. Devonta Smith, obviously, big deal in terms of a wide receiver. George Pickens has completely transformed that offense since Russell Wilson took over at quarterback. They throw way more deep shots, and Russ hits on a bunch more deep shots than they ever did with Justin Fields or Kenny Pickett. And so if he's gone, it's going to come down to this Eagles offense versus this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And we talked a lot about the Raven defense, Josh, 2 weeks ago. It's kind of being like, this is the real test. The Steeler defense truly, though, like if we're actually being honest with ourselves, Ravens was good. It was a test. The Steeler defense is an absolutely 100% true test for the offensive line. They are fantastic at linebacker. And this secondary as well has done a very good job, especially the safeties, Minkah Fitzpatrick, at cutting off and slowing down opposing elite receivers. And so what a great opportunity for Philadelphia to just put to bed all of the passing game drama by beating up on a very good defense. And if they do it against Pittsburgh, Josh, I mean, what more do you want Philadelphia to do the rest of the year? Truly, what more do you want Philadelphia to do? And if the Buffalo Bills win on Sunday, beat the Lions, Philadelphia is just a half game out of actually being the 1 seed. It's all right there for them to go ahead and take. And it really starts with beating the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday afternoon.
It does. It is funny because, and I've seen a lot of the like talk of people going like, oh, well, now it's this Pittsburgh team. I don't know, like look out for Pittsburgh because. But you still, you kind of go back and say, yes, but this team has done it. And as you were saying earlier, look, everyone knows that Saquon Barkley is going to be getting the ball. It's again, this team is going to run the football, and yet nobody can stop it. So I am curious to see what Pittsburgh tries to do, attempts to do against Philadelphia, because every team has tried and failed. And, we'll see. Saquon needs to average 121 yards over the last 4 games, and he's got the NFL rushing record. It feels extremely doable, obviously, because we've seen what he can do. Maybe they go all out, and if you see that, this has been obviously a hyper-focus this week in the passing game.
Yeah.
So I'm of the same boat. It's like, okay, what can this offense do, especially when you have a defense you would imagine that's going to go in here, what we've seen the last several weeks, and say, we are absolutely going to make Jalen Hurts beat us. We will kill ourselves to death to stop Saquon from rushing for 100 yards. I mean, if it gets to the blatant extreme, because Baltimore basically said they were going to do it. Baltimore had the box stacked on several of his runs, and Saquon still averaged, I think it was 8 yards a carry on the stacked box runs, which is insane. But it's like, go all out. Force Jalen to beat you by throwing the football. See if he can do that. But then, you open yourself up to say, okay, well, we all remember what happened in 2022 whenever you played Pittsburgh, and AJ had 3 touchdowns. So it will be interesting. I will say one point, you just kind of mentioning on the defense and with that passing game, the Steelers' pass rush is legit. Everyone knows that. But when we talk about Jalen struggling with taking a little bit longer times, taking unnecessary sacks, and even the O-line. They deserve some blame. There's been a couple different shots. You look at even in the Carolina game where there was not enough time for Jalen. Now he held on to it long on some of them, but there's other instances where he's right before he would be able to throw to AJ, get a deep shot, make a big play. He's got a guy in his face and he gets sacked. So when we talk about a lot of these other tests in these areas, I think offensive line also, they got their hands full. I trust Jordan Mailata, you trust Lane Johnson, but in particular on the edges there, just look and see what Pittsburgh does and how they try to, at least stymie the Eagles offense.
Well, and, it's going to be very interesting in terms of TJ Watt, whether he, has a big game or if you actually slow him down and eliminate him with Jordan Mailata and obviously Lane Johnson. That's going to be a battle to watch. Obviously, I lean Lane Johnson. But we talk about, if a team can stop Saquon Barkley, but it's been 9 weeks. I mean, that's what they've been doing ever since Saquon Barkley started going crazy. It's not like teams are just figuring out Saquon Barkley must be stopped. Defenses go into playing the Philadelphia Eagles is like, if we can stop 2-6, maybe we have a chance, and they haven't been able to. So, it's easier said than done. It is interesting, though, Josh. Pittsburgh kind of is the AFC version of Philadelphia, right? Because Russell Wilson is not really tearing it up, throwing the football, vastly improved over where they were at even when they were actually winning football games with Justin Fields. But, he had 158 passing yards last week, minus George Pickens, but still, they're running the football very well with Najee Harris, and they're playing great defense, and that's been Philadelphia's MO. And Pittsburgh's also kind of this football team sitting about the 3 seed right now, kind of needing KC and Buffalo to, slip up a little bit, that way they can steal the 1 seed, but they're very clearly going to win their division. We're very similar in terms of overall football teams from different sides of the NFL, and it's going to be fun to see both of them battle. And technically, it could be a Super Bowl preview. I don't think most people would bet the Steelers to actually get there, but they're probably the best defense right now going in the AFC. And Kansas City has definitely slipped up in that category as once being probably the best in the AFC, at least to start the season. And Philadelphia is very clearly the best defense in the NFC. And so it's going to be fun. I'm pumped for this one. I hate being like, if they lose, it'll be okay, because that just sounds so dumb, but it's true. As long as they look competent, have a good game, come down to the wire, Jake Elliott makes a kick, bummer, it'll stink, but Philadelphia is still in a really good position, especially at 11 wins, to win the final 3, obviously lock up the division, and see where they land in terms of playoff seeding.
Yep. And also, the line is 4.5, right? So the Eagles favored by 4.5, or at least opened up as that way. It's all right, hey, significantly say that the Eagles are better, home field advantage worth 3 points, but still you had 4.5 in total. So I think it comes down to, as it usually does, and I know this is kind of the statement to be made on most cases where it's like no one necessarily felt like this would be at the beginning of the season, where you're like, defense is carrying it more so than the offense. The offense, I believe, can be better, but again, Pittsburgh defense is no joke. So to me, it's more so, how does Vic Fangio, with a limited Pittsburgh Steelers offense, right? Because George Pickens most likely will not play. How does he structure the defense to take advantage of Russell Wilson, to be able to beat Russell Wilson even with limited weapons? And, you go back and forth and say, well, is this going to be a really surprising, higher scoring game? But overall, I mean, you look at this thing and it's like, this one could be first team to 20 points. And we would hope that it's like, blow the doors off, the offense scores like crazy. But realistically, you look at both defenses and you go, you could see a 20-14, 20-16 type of game, very similar, kind of a nail biter down to the wire. But ultimately, I think you look at Philly's defense and what they can do compared to, again, what the differences of the offenses are there, that, that gives Philly the edge. So I'm excited. Again, it was, you look back at Carolina, the defense did not play a good game. You could argue they didn't play, or they played their worst game. I think it was at home all season, right? Like the Bucs game, that's the outlier, but that was away. But certainly at home all season, and even regardless of what Atlanta did, right? Because Atlanta, they won, but still, I think the whole game until that last drive was much better than Carolina. But it just felt like a whole, almost like a roll out there and be like, we're gonna win because we're the Eagles, right? Like, it's Carolina, we're gonna win. You got the vibes from the team that way. And thankfully, they stood tall enough. You got fortunate, we'll call it what it is, with the Xavier Legette drop, because, a lot of other receivers make that catch, and then we could be talking a completely different ball game. But ultimately, the defense still did enough, and they've not allowed more than 20 points since the bye week. So, to me, I'm going up, if this defense holds that up, even with the offensive struggles, less than 20 points per game allowed, if you're doing that, this team's going to be going really far.
It's pretty crazy that when was the last time Philadelphia had a number 1 or even like a top 5 ranked defense? And now we virtually have had it all season long. And we have to keep reminding people. It's like, we still have the number 1 defense. We're still a really great defensive team. We still have the best secondary in the league. And the linebacker is probably the best linebacker in the league. I got an argument in someone in my comment section the other day. I was like, Zack Baun is a top 2 linebacker in the league. And he's like, no, he's not even a top linebacker in his division. I was like, what are we doing?
Oh my
like,
gosh.
he is... Like, we can't even enjoy having an elite linebacker for the first time in, like, my entire life, right? Like, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And we're talking, like, elite everything linebacker in Zack Baun. So just always got to remind ourselves that we have it pretty good right now, and a lot of teams would love to be the Philadelphia Eagles. So I see a super chat here, Josh. I don't know if you saw this one, too.
Yes. Yep. From Tyler?
Yeah, how about this? He says, I'll be in the minority here. My biggest problem with Hurts has been not enough deep shots. It's his best attribute as a passer. He hasn't really done it in like the past 3 or 4 weeks. I'd agree with that, Josh. I think watching the All-22 film breakdowns that a lot of people added up on Twitter this week, that was one of the actual main critiques because Carolina had a lot of 6-man fronts. They brought a lot of 6-man pressure packages. That all but guarantees a single high safety and one-on-one for A.J. Brown. And eventually you just got to throw it up to him, right? You just got to be like, okay, go and get it. Best of luck. You're the guy. And 7 times out of 10, whatever you want to call it, AJ can do it. And so I agree. I think a little bit more vertical shots, even if they don't hit, is fair. But I still not buying this idea that Jalen has dramatically regressed overall as an NFL passer. But sure, there are areas to work in. And I think deep ball passing, at least doing it more often, is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And Tyler, we appreciate the support as always. The OG from the first draft that we did.
It is.
Tyler.
Yeah, he is.
Was
Shout out
the
Tyler.
OG for sure. So
Shout out Tyler.
We appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, AJ leads the league in terms of yards per target. It's just he hasn't gotten those targets. So I'm of the same mindset of like, yeah, there's not as much of a regression to me, but I would call it an overcorrection to conservatism.
That's probably what it is.
Because
that's probably what it is.
Even in his press conference, like if you listen to his answer about the questions, hey, has the emphasis to not turn the ball over gotten you too much? Jalen didn't say yes or no, but he kind of talks around it in a way where you're like, I'm sure that he feels it. I'm sure that he sees the tape. He obviously sees the tape, but I'm sure that he looks at it and it's kind of like, yeah, I missed it. Well, okay, I could have taken a deep shot. Oh, there's a little bit of opportunities. But it's this go back and forth. And when the critics and the criticism is like, no, this Eagles team's good enough. You don't need to try to force it. Don't do too much. But then he goes, all right, fine. I'm not going to. I won't force it enough. And it's that too far of overcorrecting where I think if he comes back to, we find a happy medium. We get to a middle place. Don't be like before the bye week. Don't just take unnecessary risks. But you got playmakers. You got A.J. Brown. You got Devonta Smith. You've got Saquon Barkley in the passing game. Heck, you have, John Dotson, who's made a couple plays. You just don't really throw it to him. But if you wanted to, you could take a couple more shots. So I agree. Tyler makes a good point. I forgot the graph. I was going to try to find it. But I did see that basically in terms of taking those deep shots, the Eagles are one of the lower ranked teams in terms of just volume, just throwing the ball down the field 20+ yards, which is surprising for, certainly a Sirianni offense because it's let's hunt the big plays. So we don't want to go to the extreme of the Sirianni offense, but you also don't want this check down, stopping short of the sticks, just throwing these bubble screens because we saw way too much of that with Brian Johnson, and it's not going anywhere with this offense. So I would say I'm confident they can get that blend. They'll get it right. The beauty is you have 4 weeks until then you start talking about where playoffs are and what's going to take place there. But maybe just in between. Find that for Jalen Hurts.
There you go. Yeah, and I think the overcompensation is probably very accurate. I saw a chat a little bit earlier here from Chris B, who said Jalen hasn't regressed. He's just in his head because everyone kept saying he was a turnover king, so he's playing conservative. That's pretty clear. First 4 weeks, bye week, post-bye week, very different Jalen Hurts. And it's not just forcing the football. It's just not, strip sacks and just taking unnecessary hits in the pocket. And then, of course, turnovers and interceptions as well. He very clearly has kind of tried to be more conservative. And again, the result has been 9 straight wins. So it's like, okay, I mean, if you're Jalen Hurts, it's got to be very funny just to watch the criticism and be like, yeah, but we're winning though, right? So maybe he's got to turn it up a little bit in the postseason. Maybe this week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's got to throw a little bit more to make sure Philadelphia has victories. But when the Eagles have needed drives at the end of games, think of the Baltimore Ravens, and especially before halftime, even this past week versus the Carolina Panthers, Jalen's been on the money. His 2-minute drills have been the best I've seen an Eagle quarterback do in a very long time. They are scoring every single time. They are marching it down the football field before the 2-minute warning. And, of course, right up to the start of halftime, he's been really good. And so, I mean, again, it feels like he could turn that on and do it the rest of the actual way. That would be a massive overall plus. But I agree. I think it's not a regression. I think it's just being conservative. And the result has been 9 straight wins. So not much more you can ask about that.
It's actually, it's funny that you bring that up because there's a graph here that I did find, a different one.
There you go.
And, you know, some of these, they're hit or miss, right? But like when we talk about late game situations and what Jalen's been able to do, this one tells a pretty good story. So this is the rate of snapping the ball late in the play clock. And you see up in the very, very top right, the Eagles are the leading candidate far and away. I mean, the Jets are kind of right there, but I don't think you want to be close with what the New York Jets are doing in terms of really anything but the offense for sure. So how many times do we continue on the game streams whenever we're broadcasting it going like there's 4 on the play clock, 3 on the play clock, 2, oh, there's the snap, right? So it just takes forever. And you add on top of that they're not running a whole lot of hurry up. But as you were saying, late in games, whether it's a fourth quarter or right before the half, the 2-minute offense, that's usually when we're like, oh, hey, looky there. Like, why did it take so long to get something going?
Right.
And so my argument that I made on the last video, and I will say it here as well, is like, maybe a little hurry up. It wouldn't hurt anything, right? Like, just start the game with a hurry up offense for the first possession, see if it works. Because if you go 3 and out and punt the football away, the defense is at least fresh. You're not doing it and saying like, oh gosh, well we need to delay this and extend the drive or at least kill some clock so they can get some more rest. You might as well because it's not working to get these quick starts, and you see that it actually has the defense on their heels more so whenever you have that no huddle offense versus. They'll run a play and then they huddle up and they take forever and they get out there and the defense can assess it and look at it and it's kind of like, okay, well, it's not a whole lot of trickery or it's something that keeps them from starting out really quickly. So I don't know. Hopefully they do some of that adjustment because I'm with you. It's a night and day difference, not only when we get to second, third, fourth quarters, but really in those 2-minute, 4-minute offense situations. Then you're like, man, where was this? Like, why are they playing more aggressive here?
I know. And it's just wild because they can flip it on, feels like at will, whenever they want to. It's like, oh, we need a little drive here. Boom, there's the drive. So, I don't know. I mean, we're not experts at film study. We say this almost every single week. And so we only go off of what other people are saying. Obviously we're not stupid. We can watch film and see, mistakes here, mistakes there, open people, not open people. But playing quarterback in the National Football League is very much a science, and it's obviously the hardest position in the entire sporting universe. It's very difficult to do, and you do wonder why those slow starts are there. You do wonder why they haven't figured hurry up on the first drive makes sense, but Kellen Moore's not dumb, right? And clearly they have talked about this. I mean, every week Kellen Moore is like, we're trying different things. This week he confirmed, like, I got a scheme, Moore plays up to 11, sure. And so if they have not figured it out, clearly the armchair quarterbacks, have not figured it out either. But be nice to get a little more consistency because, I mean, as you think about the postseason, Josh, you're likely the 2, right? You're most likely going to be the 2 seed. I know the 1 seed is very possible. I think Buffalo cruises on Sunday after their tough loss on the road against the Rams. I think Buffalo wins, and that means the Eagles have to win basically out and then get one more loss from the Lions because right now we have to win out, Lions lose 2, they get you the 1 seed. So let's just assume we're the 2 seed because I've said, I put money on it, unfortunately, that they're going to lose one more, and if the Eagles do lose one more, then they're out of the 1 seed running virtually. You're the 2, and you're probably playing Washington or the Rams, right? And I'd rather play Washington right now because the Rams are red hot, but you're going to have to score a lot of points if you play the Rams at the Link, even though it's cold and Stafford's out of the dome and all that sort of thing. You're going to have to score a lot of points, and that's probably the concern Eagle fans have had with the offenses when you get to that point. But it's also going to be January. It's going to be Lincoln Financial Field, and you have Saquon Barkley. And I think they're going to be able to play a lot of keep away from Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and get a really good second shot at them after basically blowing them out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and, Saquon just ran, what?
He went nuts.
He went nuts. Crazy number.
Yeah.
So, not that we would necessarily say, you're going to repeat that in the playoffs, but the big advantage, as you say there, the cold weather just feeds into more of
Helps
running
a
game
lot.
defense. I mean, we've said it, a lot these last couple weeks, but it's like if the Eagles somehow could end up getting the number 1 seed, which, if they win out,
It's still possible.
Then it's
Sure.
very possible. Like you said, if
Sure.
the Lions can lose, I also agree with you. I think that it's the spread is 2.5. Detroit favored by 2.5. I think Buffalo would be the play. If it's risky, so I don't know that I would necessarily. But if you did want to, I would probably be taking
I'd
Buffalo
do it.
there.
I'd do it.
Okay, well there you go. Take the plus 2.5.
I think
for
Buffalo. This is Buffalo's season, right? This is Buffalo's chance, and we said that for years. Like they lost Stephon Diggs, and then now Gabe Davis is gone. This is the best iteration, it feels like, of the Buffalo Bills. Definitely of Josh Allen. He's probably going to win MVP as much as I want Saquon to do it, but that's neither here nor there. They have to go all the way this season. If they don't, I mean, it's going to be crazy in Buffalo. So they need to win this game to keep pace with that 1 seed, because you're assuming Kansas City eventually is going to have their luck run out, and they could maybe squeak by and get that 1 seed. But Buffalo desperately needs to not go to Arrowhead. I mean, everybody needs to stay away from Arrowhead in January, because that place is like impossible. There's just no way. And so Buffalo's got to win this one. I think that they were so close to pulling off this crazy comeback versus the Rams last week that they're pretty upset about it, and I think that they probably win. So I would do Buffalo, but don't take my advice, right? Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that you're right. But yes, gamble responsibly, as always. If you're going to scan the QR code, use code Philly Special to help support the show.
Idea.
We'll have our picks and predictions before the game. I have not done enough looking. Actually, I don't really release too many either. But as far as the game itself, if Detroit loses and the Eagles win, then all of a sudden there's 3 games remaining. It's a very realistic possibility. You're going to be playing these last stretch of games anyway to try to keep pace. But at some point, if you're like in the final week of the season, it's like, well, regardless, you're not going to get the 1 seed. Then you might see against New York, like, okay, let's rest some players. But ultimately, at this point, everything's still in front of you. Take care of Pittsburgh. You got to capitalize.
Well, and Detroit, I mean, like Detroit's schedule, the including this week, the next 4 weeks, it is so hard. Now, Philadelphia is tricky the next 2 because obviously Pittsburgh, I think the Commanders, very much playing for their playoff lives, are going to be very, very motivated to beat Philadelphia in Washington. But home against Buffalo, okay? That at Bears game, Josh, and I know the Bears offense was awful in the first half last week. I know Chicago has all sorts of problems right now and firing the head coach midseason. Shocker, it never works, right? That is a tricky one because they played very well in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Should have won that football game. Now you go outside, windy, cold, Chicago, get Jared Goff out of the dome. That's tricky. And also San Francisco on that Monday night at San Francisco. The 49ers are not a good football team, okay? But they're also still playing technically for their postseason lives. And they still got to finish against Minnesota. And Minnesota is trying to get the 1 seed. So there's a real chance that they lose 2 of these next 4. And I would not be shocked if it's Buffalo and Chicago. I think Chicago, division, tricky, it's like, it's tough. Chicago would be just how I would feel about the Cowboys game in 3 weeks if the Cowboys still had Dak, right? Because the Cowboys are not a good team right now. They borderline dumpster fire, coach going to be gone, blah, blah, blah. They don't have Dak, though, and so they're really not that great. But Dallas is still a tricky matchup because it's the divisional matchup. And you see these guys twice a year, and they would love nothing more than to ruin Philadelphia's chance to get the 1 seed. Chicago's the exact same way. It's a tough 4-game stretch for Detroit right now. It's definitely not going to be easy.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. You definitely, if you were to pick and choose right now, you would, want to have the lead, but in terms of schedule, it's a no-brainer. You're looking at so many more difficult games and teams to play there. So, Christian with a 5 earlier, appreciate that, said 2 years ago versus the Steelers, we scored 5 times and AJ had 3 touchdowns. I did say this earlier. I've not looked at the underdog lines yet, but I don't need to. I will be taking an A.J. Brown over on something.
You're taking an A.J. Brown touchdown.
I don't know exactly for sure yet, but it may be a touchdown. I got to see what the multiplier is, but I will take something with the over on A.J. Brown. Maybe that's too emotional, but I just, after the way this goes, like, I can't see A.J. being like, oh, yeah, 4 catches for 40 yards. Like,
I can't either. I can't either. You never know, though. You never know. And I could use, I might be a little conservative on my higher or lowers this week just to try to get one in the bag, but we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yep. All right. I'm getting this ready because I know people were asking, like, the ticket giveaway, and
Yeah,
what
do
that's
it.
looking
Do
like.
it.
So let me get
Sure.
this one set up here. We should be good to go. All right, let's see. We've got that. And get the comments. And then once this one pulls up, we should be good if I can get this to work.
There you go. There you go. Also, while you're doing this, obviously, Josh and I do a bunch of giveaways. We've been working quietly behind the scenes on stuff that we can't talk about just yet. That's going to be really exciting for 2025. There's a couple of giveaways. There are a couple of things. I don't know what the proper word is, but a couple of really, really fun things that we're going to be working with certain people and organizations and stuff like that. That's going to be coming up. So just know we're always trying to improve, and we've taken a lot of steps, had a lot of meetings with people for 2025. So it's going to be fun. This year has been crazy, and this has been my biggest year. I mean, both of our channels, I mean, this blows last year out of the water, which we thank you guys for that. But 2025 is going to be very fun, especially the offseason. The offseason is going to be very fun. So just know. It's not just tickets, and it's not just signed helmets and stuff like that, but it's going to be very fun. Very, very fun.
Daniel saying pizza party. I knew it. It's,
yeah, a pizza party. There you go. A giant pizza
like
party.
That. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. This usually gathers the comments. It could be, I was going to say it could be my internet, but like we've been okay with the stream, so I don't know what's going on. But
you just scammed everybody, so you're not actually giving tickets away.
I did.
So.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, everyone.
Wow.
I apologize.
Got him.
I will. I mean, I'll keep working on this. We've got
sure.
another 20 minutes or so, probably 15 minutes before we hop off. I'm going to try. If it doesn't work, there's something with this site that I use that normally works. And I'm getting an error message. So apologies to everyone. I will give the tickets away. It just might have to be like the Friday night live stream. So stay tuned. It will happen.
It'll happen. Maxwell says, have you guys thought about doing a show where you take callers? I've seen other people do it. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not against it. I just, I came from a radio background. I took a lot of callers, and I remember my bosses in radio saying, like, the callers, not all of them have that great of insight. And obviously, I think our chat has really great insights. Why we do the live shows to get the chat. But maybe one day, maybe draft time, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to go ahead and set up. I do think we need to have, like, a subscriber meetup in Philadelphia. I think the next time that we go up to Philadelphia, maybe get there a day early and we find a bar that everyone can come hang out at or something like that. That would be very fun, where it's like all
go get a cheesesteak,
local people
perhaps.
Come and hang out. That'd be fun. We need to do something like that.
Definitely not Pastor Gino's, but yeah, we go to some place, hang out.
Any other one? Well, Pat and Gino's don't have like indoor seating either.
That's true. Yeah.
And if we're coming for like a playoff game, it's going to be freezing cold.
It's a little bit colder. Yeah.
Very cold.
That would be a blast.
Oh, man.
But no, we appreciate the 5 Maxwell, and yeah, always considering things. We will say that. You guys know it as well, but just, ways to upgrade the channel and make it more of a community feel. So Luke asking about, is the ticket giveaway only for members? This one is not. No, it's for just any subscribers. So you subscribe to the show, have commented on the previous video, and you're good to go. But
there you go.
It doesn't look like this thing's going to work, so I'm going to have to figure this thing out. But again, you don't have to be present to win. As long as you entered on the last video, I will give you a heads up. I will for sure make sure that it works by Friday, so I'll do it on the Friday night live stream, and then I'll post it on Saturday's video. So it'll be a quick turnaround, but I will for sure give it away. If nobody claims it, I'll do like an emergency live probably on Saturday night and be like, here you go. Somebody take them. So
someone take them. Yeah.
I'm not going to waste those.
Charles Menifee says, you work for 92.9 in Atlanta, right? Yeah, the callers suck here. There you go. Another Atlanta person. I did work there. And, they were okay. Callers are just hit or miss. So some people have really fun, interesting things to say, and some people don't.
Sure.
So, however it goes. Your boy RD says, first time at the link on Sunday. Congrats. That's exciting. What are the main do's and don'ts? The main do is also a don't. Have your exit plan, right? Getting out of the link if you don't have a car, as Josh and I have learned every single time that we've gone recently, you walk forever. Figure out where you're going to go to get an Uber, right? And go that direction. Start walking that direction, or have an egress plan. That is, because if you don't have a car, which Josh and I don't live there, so we never do, getting out is very difficult. It's very difficult. It's not that it's difficult. You just have to walk to a road that isn't blocked off so your Uber can actually get there. Once you get to one of those roads, then the Uber can get there. So maybe do some Googling on the best roads to go to for Uber, whatever it is. But that would be, that would definitely be my recommendation.
That is an absolutely great point. Yes, exit strategy and also beginning. Like to get their tailgate plan. There's tons of great options. So if you have a hookup, if you have somebody, usually just in our experience, obviously Mike and Lamb have been a great one. We've gone to the 4th and John tailgate, but you can pretty much show up to anyone and someone's like, oh yeah, come on. So it's a good tailgate scene, but maybe figure that out. Usually I've seen people post on the Facebook page and they get some invites that way, but it makes it better. In my opinion, it's like, if you're going to go, you might as well make it a all-day thing. Like showing up last second, get to see game. It's not the same thing unless you like go there and tailgate. So do that. Have the Uber ready. Don't walk to the middle of nowhere. I don't know where we were walking that last time.
It was not good.
We were
just not good. Didn't work.
Where we were. We had to backtrack so far. Tyler with a 5. Appreciate that. Said, I have an intriguing question between the 2022 and 2024 team. Who is the best defender? Also has more supers in his bag today. So, best defender between 2022 and 2024 team.
It's probably between Reddick and Jalen Carter, right? Would probably be the pick because Reddick was really good that year. That was as bad as they were in the Super Bowl, turf aside, Reddick was insane that year, and he was by far the best probably defender. I mean, overall, that defense, right? If you think back to it, cornerback play. I mean, Bradbury was really good, actually. That was the final Bradbury year, but he wasn't great. He was really good for Eagle standard because we've kind of been hitting and missing on cornerbacks for a long time. Like, you think back to the 2017 corners, and it's like Jalen Mills was like your best cornerback. Ronald Darby. It was not good overall cornerback play. I think it'd be between Reddick and Jalen Carter. I think would have to be your pick. And I think Jalen Carter is insane. I think
I was going to say, I think I would go with Jalen Carter. As insane, because Reddick, phenomenal season, really good, stats and all the everything else. And not to take away from Haas, but like, even though the stats are not there for Jalen Carter, it's like you watch the film on him, and every single week just about he's a game wrecker. Like what he does totally changes the lives of every other defensive lineman that we have. Going, oh well, hey, JC's getting double teamed again, so we might as well win our one-on-one matchup. I as crazy as that may be to say a second-year player, I think JC would already be the best player between them.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's incredible, and like I said, the 2022 defense gets a ton of credit because they got to a Super Bowl, right? And they obviously had plenty of really good players on that team, and they were Super Bowl worthy. They just kind of laid down a little bit there, again, turf aside, Mahomes aside, but you would take the linebacker group this year, like Baun is so much better than Kazir White or TJ Edwards, right? Baun, and we all wanted TJ Edwards. Baun is way better than prime TJ Edwards right now. And you can kind of go up and down the list. The cornerbacks, I mean, Q and Slay with the Jean in the slot versus Maddox, Bradbury, and Slay, massive difference. I mean, massive difference, right? And I think the Gardner Johnson of 2022 is very similar to the Gardner Johnson this year. I don't think there's been much of a drop-off, less picks, but the Eagles themselves don't get a lot of picks this season. He just got a bunch of tip passes back in 2022. So I think you would take him. I think Reddick, I think Cox, that Fletcher Cox, that year Fletcher Cox on this year's team would be a massive, benefit. But Milton Williams is playing very well kind of in that rotational role. So I think that they're much better.
Reps,
I think that Moro Jomo, oh my gosh.
Moro
Jomo was incredible, right? So yeah, I would take this year's defense for sure. For sure. Just because they can really shut down. I mean, like we saw in the Super Bowl that a really good offense could kind of expose them a little bit. Like they couldn't stop, Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid. But I definitely think that this year's defense can and has shown that time and time again. 100%.
Without a doubt. Yeah, absolutely. They're it's even with the easier schedule, if you want to call after the bye week, there's still been too many teams that you can go up against and say, the thing that I loved was like seeing the Rams score the 44 points. And you're like, huh, okay.
Oh,
so it's Buffalo, right? Like
they're pretty
Buffalo's supposed to be pretty good. Buffalo's supposed to be one of the teams that people think going all the way to the Super Bowl, which I could certainly see them. If I had to pick today, I think I said that it would be Buffalo and the Eagles, but like 44 points and Big Fangio held him to 14. It was 20 officially, but 14 meaningful points before the garbage drive at the end of the game. So, that's a huge difference. I know that, play styles and everything else changes it, but at the end of the day, 14 points to Matt Stafford in LA with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, like that's just, it's insane. So yeah, what this defense is doing is a night and day difference.
I'm Awake says Baun will be very expensive. There are people in my comment section every week saying that Howie's not going to pay for Zack Baun, which I think would be so unwise. I think it would be a disaster of an offseason. I would lose Sweat for Zack Baun, and Josh Sweat's been incredible. I think that you could draft a pass rusher in round 1, sign a cheaper option in free agency, pray to the Lord that Bryce Huff turns out to be good in year 2 in Philadelphia. They're not replacing Zack Baun with some first-round linebacker or free agent linebacker, and I want to keep Sweat too. But I think Milton is probably the odd man out because of Moro Jomo. I think he's of that kind of. There's like 4 or so big-name, high-profile free agents that are going to be hard to all keep with the rumored $35 million in cap space. I think Milton goes and gets a bag to start somewhere else. Jomo takes his place. And they find a way to keep Josh Sweat and Zack Baun. But it's not March yet, and I don't want to get into free agency stuff because there'll be plenty of shows with free agency stuff in the future. But that's my early guess. That's my early guess.
Who's going there? I agree with you. Yeah, you got to keep Zack Baun for all the reasons that you mentioned, but the fact that what Fangio has seen in him and how he's been able to turn him into this type of linebacker is like he's the perfect answer to this scheme, the perfect answer to playing the linebacker position. Yes, you're going to pay a good amount of money because of how he's playing here, but I think that you can also, I think you can capitalize on a sweet spot of like, yes, Zack Baun has been unreal, and he should be, hopefully is an all-pro whenever all things said and done because he's playing up to that level. Does he get the recognition? But maybe you can get a little bit of a team-friendly deal and to say, yeah, but you only did it 1 year, right? Like where is that exact market value? Hopefully it's not a full-blown team going out there, but you remember, like T.J. Edwards, whenever he got his deal, everyone's going, are you kidding me? Like we could have signed him and kept him for
that's right.
6.5? Wasn't it $6.5 million? I think it was. So, you see what it'd be with Zack Baun, but maybe it's closer to team friendly. I'm not saying it's going to be that number, but something that's a little bit better appetite on that. But
I think they might lose Becton too, just because of Steen, and I think Becton could get a lot of money in the free agent market. I'd like to keep Mekhi Becton; he's been fantastic, and he loves Philadelphia. He might take a discount to stay, but Becton could be kind of the other casualty in order to keep on and Josh Sweat. But again, that's neither here nor there. Doesn't matter.
Anthony, do not say that. He just said,
no, please,
Zack
Anthony.
Baun is getting the Juan Soto contract.
Anthony, tell us what you actually think. Anthony, if you had to bet on what Zack Baun would get either from Philadelphia or from another team, give me the yearly salary of what you think Zack Baun would get. I'd be very curious what Anthony would say about that.
This is
very curious. Because you just said, like T.J. Edwards was like, wait, he's getting... was it like $8 million a year, $6 million? It was nothing overall.
I thought it was 6.5. Let's I could double check on that.
I'd be very curious what Devonta thinks the actual asking price of Zack Baun is going to turn out to be.
Average salary 6.5. Okay, that's what I was making sure. So T.J. Edwards
which was nothing.
I mean,
we would sign Zack Baun for 6.5 in like a heartbeat.
Please,
I'd chip in. I mean, come on. Does that mean it's 10 or 11? It can't be 15. That's like crazy. Who's the highest paid linebacker in the NFL right now?
Isn't it Fred?
Is it Roquan?
Or is it
well, I mean, I put linebacker, so I'm getting a lot of pass rushing linebackers. Roquan Smith makes $20 million a year. Then Warner makes 19.
Oh, right below
so maybe
19.
Maybe 15 is kind of what it is for a true. Patrick Queen does 13. So maybe 13. Right, because I don't know if you put him into Fred Warner yet, because Fred has all these years and he doesn't. Probably 13. That's my guess.
Yeah, I'd be about there. I think that initially I was saying like 10, but the way that he's continued to keep it up now, I could be in the 10 to 12 range. There's Anthony's official prediction.
There it is.
3 years, $36 million. So he's going with the 12.
Okay.
Andrew Van Ginkel got 2 years for 20 after a great loan season in Fangio's scheme, but Baun has been even better. That's fair.
That's probably dead on, honestly. And Anthony's normally dead on. I 30 and I think I would do 3 years for 36. You're not tied up for 5
for sure,
just in case.
Oh yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I would agree.
It's close enough. Basically, you would say, do you want Azeez Al-Shaair or do you want Zack Baun? Like that. That's the contract numbers and parallels there.
Yeah.
And even age wise, I believe. So
there you go.
Absolutely.
And who knows? Maybe because he's had one good season. What happens if next season it's like a sophomore explosion? It's like he's even better, you know?
True.
The idea that he hits this massive wall and starts stinking is, I guess, possible, but maybe it wouldn't happen. I don't know. Be interesting. Very interesting.
He's getting better. So
he seems to be getting better. Like he had that, week 1, he was great, and then he was kind of quiet for a couple of weeks there. He wasn't fantastic, and now post bye week, much like the rest of the Philadelphia Eagles, he's been crazy. Yeah. He's been nuts.
It's funny
the
because
Baltimore game.
Yeah, well, and if he goes a game where it's like, Zack Baun had 7 tackles, 8 tackles, not a forced fumble, not a sack, then it's like the very next game it's gonna be Zack Baun, 12 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble, fumble recovery. He's like, okay, there you go, he's right back at it.
Yeah.
But
Jeremiah Butler says, "Why are we talking about contracts now?" I was trying to get off of that topic, but we just kept kind of bringing it up.
It's automatic
so
as soon as
I agree.
As soon as that comes up, Anthony. To wrap up on the contract topic, because Anthony threw this out there, but he did say, I'd have to disagree with Thomas on Becton not returning. Says Becton is very happy in Philadelphia and might be willing to take less to return. He saw that grass isn't greener in New York. And Anthony would know, being in New York. So
being in New York, he would know.
Greener.
I would agree. I do think that they would like to keep Sweat just because Howie likes pass rushers, and they have Steen. And they don't. I mean, the Steen was a third-round pick. So they want to play him, but I could definitely see Becton being like, "I am not leaving Jeff Stoutland." Like, goodness gracious, Jeff Stoutland saved my career. Yeah. Him and Fred Johnson both act like football was the most or the least fun thing in the entire world, and they came to Philadelphia and they're like, "It's actually fun. Like, I'm having a good time. It's crazy." Yeah. And so I agree with you there, Anthony. I think Milton Williams is probably the for sure casualty. It'll be just like oh gosh, what was his name? Went to the 49ers and did the exact same thing.
Hargrave.
He got a massive bag. Yeah, Vernon Hargrave, and it was the exact same thing. Javon. What did I say? Did I say
Vernon?
Vernon Hargrave. Who's that? I don't know who that is.
Not really
Javon,
sure.
Vernon. Goodness gracious.
It's late for you.
Okay.
Though. You're not a night
there
owl.
You go.
So we could get close to wrapping on this because we're almost at the top of the hour. So it's
sure.
It's a good segue at this point.
Well, let's just put a bow on the Eagles are fine, Josh.
Yeah.
How about that? How exciting is that? I will say this. I tweeted this out. I thought AJ and Jalen had a perfect day today. I thought they had a perfect press conference. AJ, they basically came out, and whether it was pretend or real, and that's the beauty of it, it was like, guys, this isn't even a big deal. Like, I just misspoke, and I was talking about the passing game, and BG doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just kind of being goofy BG, and whatever. Like, you guys made a big deal. We don't really care. Whether they're true or not, doesn't matter. I will still say, and I said this on my show on Tuesday, the Eagles PR team, all they had to do, Josh, the second BG said that, post some sort of interaction between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, goofing off and having a good time, and this is done. Because they just posted on their Twitter account the, like, how well do you know each other video? Yeah. These kind of goofy videos each week, and it's like, Q and Coop, like, how well do you know each other? If they would have had some pre-recorded thing of Jalen and A.J. Brown and been, like, them laughing at a table together, it's all gone. Big PR miss, in my opinion. We had to wait till Wednesday, which gave a whole news cycle on Monday night and Tuesday morning, and it was like, they could have really nipped this in the butt earlier, but today was about as good as we could have hoped for. And I feel like it's a nothing burger. Like, I'm thinking about my show tomorrow, and it's like, I'll mention it, but it's done. Like, it is done until something else arises. But for now, the whole drama is completely over, and I'm very, very, very grateful for that.
We are certainly grateful for that, yes, because we can move on to Pittsburgh, as Jordan Mailata said, as many others said as well. But it's like, we're on to the Steelers, right? We're moving on. You've got a big-time opponent coming up, an opportunity to take advantage, make a statement, get closer to Thomas giving me $100. And
I hope so.
We're almost there. I
hope so.
I know that you hope so. And I would look forward to that. To wrap up, though, we probably should do the score predictions as we normally do. Have you given enough thought, or do you have an idea?
No, I really haven't. But I will throw something out there. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you the official numbers if you want them. The spread is 4.5, like I said. Okay. The total is 44.5. So and it's been bet up now. It opened at 4.5. It's Philly minus 5.5. At this point.
Wow. Pittsburgh, I'm looking here. Pittsburgh did give up 38 to Cincinnati, who's a good football team. They gave up 27 to the Commanders. They've been pretty much in the teens the rest of the way. 27-21? 27. 27-21, 27-24. I don't think it's going I don't think it's going to be close. I mean, as in, like, it's not going to be the Carolina game where you got to hold them on the final drive. I will say 27-21, Philly's more comfortable than it sounds there.
Okay. I like it. I'm going to go a little bit lower scoring. I will say I'm going to go with I do think it'll be a bigger, Eagles win convincingly. I'm going to say 28-17.
Wow. Boy, that would do that'd be fun.
Under 20 points. Defense holds them under 20 points. They don't have George Pickens. Offense scores 4 touchdowns. They're not going to kick with Jake Elliott. So that's a little, a subtle storyline to keep an eye on, right? Like the whole Jake Elliott.
Yeah.
Does he get
field
goal opportunities?
Yeah.
Are we just kicking extra points now?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. That's honestly more of a concern to me than it is the passing game, running game. Anything else is like, if and when you need Jake Elliott, like even if we're at a 30-yarder, really, but like certainly as you move back to the 50-yard range, how many times in the playoffs you say, oh, last second opportunity, a team gets it close, now they need a 52-yarder to win, it's good, game over.
Yeah.
Can you rely on Jake? I mean, we're all big fans of him, but at this point, it's kind of like 0 for 5. He hasn't proven it yet.
It's true.
We'll see.
Maybe he kicks one on Sunday and gets that confidence back. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be nice.
Oh, please.
We'll see.
Yeah, hit the first one.
We will see.
I'm not as confident enough to take that as a prop. It is one of the picks that was up there, so stay clear of that one. I would not give it the approval to go with that.
There you go.
We will see. Appreciate everyone. We're seeing all the other predictions all over the place, but lots of Eagles. There's I don't believe I'm seeing any of the Steelers picked, which is good. We should be confident here.
That's good.
Several blowouts and maybe a few that are close, but looks like most people are kind of convincing fashion. So I can appreciate that. Lots of optimism there.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you on Sunday.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys as always. Make sure, as I say, hit the like button, subscribe, and we will be probably about what time is the game? 3:20 or 4:25 Eastern?
Yeah, so
we'll
4:15, whenever
is probably
whenever
about
Josh
we'll
gets
go
in
live.
front of his camera. You know how it works. Whenever Josh gets in front of his camera.
So I could probably make it 10 minutes before, but yes, sometime around that point.
Around that
we'll
time.
be going live. So until then, we will see you guys. More videos to come, game previews as well. And you know what it is. Go Birds.
Go Birds.